call the monthly meeting of the Bristol Development Authority to order. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak at this time? Motion to be ordered to approve the minutes of our May 22nd meeting.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Correspondence, communications, transfer request.
Motion to file.
We have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Media coverage. Motion to file?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The Route 6 corridor plan and draft notes.
Motion to file.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Motion, a mayor's economic development grant for Intracast.
Motion to file.
Second. Second. Thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. New business by staff, the transfer request.
So we have this in the packet. This will go to the Board of Finance hopefully tomorrow. But essentially we needed some extra funds into travel to accommodate. Obviously we have new employees this year. We've been doing some trade shows and more travel, so that was the purpose of the transfer.
I'll David read the motion. We can discuss it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit a motion to transfer $400 from the city share postage account to the city share travel reimbursement account and to forward to the Board of Finance for action.
Second.
Do I have a second? Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the start of Bristol update.
Yeah, so we wanted to give an update on where we are in our current Startup Bristol competition. So the group met last week, Ani, right? Yeah, it's the weeks start to just sort of flow together. But Startup Bristol Task Force met last week. Their task last week was to essentially take I think it was 11 finalists, or actually not finalists, but folks that were invited to complete round 2 and whittle that down into the finalists that will now move on to round number 3. So based on scoring, 5 finalists were selected for the round 3 event, and they'll be invited. We're tentatively scheduled that for July 17th. I think we're pretty set on that date. We'll get obviously an invite and information to everyone here, but we'll have 5 presentations. They've all committed to presenting 5 presentations, and then the top 3 in first, second, and third place will have the opportunity to accept grant funds when they locate in Bristol formally. So that's sort of where we are. Kind of a different, interesting group, types of businesses. We have, I think, 2 sort of software type companies. We have more of a traditional sort of manufacturing company, which was cool. And what else do we have there? Yeah, we have an interesting company that's based around some different social services, and then we have more of like a lifestyle company that's based around events. So that's the group this year, and we'll make you aware of more info when it happens.
I have a question. What was the total number of applicants we received?
30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any questions? Motion to file. Accept the report will be in order.
Motion to accept. Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mayor's Economic Development Grant for Intracast. Did I say that?
IntegraCast. Yeah.
Integra. I set on the wrong syllable.
That's good. So IntegraCast is a fun one. We met, Mayor and I met IntegraCast last summer. We were in the facility on Pine Street that now houses Industrial Steel and Wire, the K-Can. I call it the K-Can facility over there. And we met this business owner that was in the process of sort of making a move to Bristol, and we were able to to communicate to that business owner some of the different incentives that we have here for new businesses. So for this particular business, what we decided on was inviting them to apply for basically a new equipment grant. This business moved into basically a vanilla box space that was not used for manufacturing and completely transformed it into a manufacturing environment. So every piece of equipment that is in that space now is new. It was purchased for this purpose, to open up for this company its second location. They're in New Britain now, and this is their second location, thankfully in Bristol. So they spent well over $1 million on equipment and installation to outfit that location. So we were able to help them out with an equipment grant. That goes to the Board of Finance for hopefully an approval tomorrow night, and then off to the joint board in early July. So just wanted to give you an update on that grant.
Where's the one? Go ahead.
Where is that?
It's D'Amato and Property.
Okay.
It's the one
Around the corner.
corner, yeah, with K-Can and,
Yep.
yep.
Any other questions from commissioners? Motion be in order to accept the report.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The Route 6 corridor plan.
I wanted to,
Can I have a question before you start?
yeah,
Is this anything to do with the mess that's going on now, or is this is further down on, we're going to create another mess?
no, I sure hope not. So what this is about a year ago, I'd say, the planning and zoning folks made a decision to actually to study the Route 6 corridor, right? So in our case, basically from the Farmington town line to the Plymouth line, because there's been various sort of development proposals over the years that sort of brought about discussion, spirited discussion, we'll say, with the planning and zoning folks on what is Route 6, what will it become from a zoning perspective, what should the city be looking for from a zoning perspective. There's residential areas, there's commercial areas, and the planning and zoning folks made a decision to sort of sit down and study it intently. So I just wanted to broach the topic with this group and give you sort of the most recent version of their plan. And this is not official in the books yet. Just going to have to be, as I understand, in their public hearing on it. But my land use folks in the land use department got with us to sort of get our take on it from an economic development standpoint, and we were able also to talk with the consultants that were working on the project as well. So I just went through, made some sort of just general, very sort of early comments. What I hope is from sort of an economic development perspective. I just wanted to give it to the group. Maybe you folks can take a look. There's not a huge rush because we got a little time, but take a look maybe what I wrote. Maybe we can come back next month and give me some thoughts, some of your thoughts on how you think the plan sort of aligns with the economic development policies of the city. But I just want to take this month as an opportunity to sort of give you my cliff notes, sort of notes on the plan and initial thoughts at least, and then the plan itself, and we'll revisit it in the future, in your future.
I thank you for that, because this is, to me, is going to be a major thing within the city of Bristol, what happens. I will reflect back when Bristol, the downtown was knocked down, and those places I used to buy my clothes from and everything, oh boy, they're going to die out there, all right? Never came back. So,
Yeah, you could say what you'd like. Route 6 is very important to this community for many ways. So,
some people say it's the downtown of Bristol.
Yeah.
That's pretty sad. Any comments? Motion to accept the report be in order.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Extension of the CDBG sidewalk project. Debbie, you speaking to that?
Yes, I am. We used the fall and the winter to get the bids going, and we've got the contract to Lavero, and now they can start according to the Public Works schedule, and so I imagine that they will be done by the end of October. And Justin and I talked earlier about having all of the projects to the end of October, as opposed to the 3 different dates that I have in my original notes. The Bark project,
Oh, let's see.
you want to take one by one?
Yeah, if you don't mind. I drove Summer Street over the weekend. Someone started to work up there.
Yeah,
Is
they're
that-
working now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, when I drove down, I came
Yeah.
down Center Street and it's blocked. You can't go down there unless you live there.
Just let you should know that.
Thank you. Someone tells me.
The road's blocked off.
Okay,
So they're working.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So why do we need to give it October?
Because it's June 30th on Friday. So I don't know if they're going to continue to work
Oh, that's right.
and
Everyone
do
gets
all of it.
That deadline date, that's right.
Deadline date.
And we only go 90 days, right? Each clip is 90 days.
And this is a little longer though, the October, because it's about the end of the season for doing sidewalks. So that's why I chose October 31st for an extension.
Let's put the motion on the floor and we can discuss it. David, give me the motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I propose a motion to approve an extension of the CDBG Summer Street Sidewalk project to October 31st, 2017.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? They've got their extension. Want to do the next one?
Yeah, the next extension is the bark flooring project, and I have another request to add an additional $10,000 to the original grant award of $15,000 because the project turned out to be bigger and more expensive than even Bark originally thought. And the original estimate is a year and a half old, so that is not on the agenda. But I am hoping that we'll be able to do that pending some review by the building department.
Why don't we make that a form of a motion then? And you want to extend that to 10/31/17, subject to the review by the building department.
With the $10,000.
We're adding $10,000 and it's all going to go to October 31st.
If the board,
Yeah. Could you make that motion, sir? And add those to it that we just talked about, the building department, and an additional $10,000, and we can discuss it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to propose a motion to approve the extension of the CDBG Bristol Adult Resource Center flooring project to October 31st, 2017, subject to the building department's approval.
And to increase the grant by $10,000.
And to increase the grant by $10,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Debbie.
The next one and the last one is the Bristol Historical Society project that needs to replace a door, and it's just one of those things that just can't get done. So I've been reaching out to try to follow up and give them a little bit more of a push, and so I asked for an extension because it's one of those things that's just taking longer for not a very good reason, and I can't give you a good reason.
How much was the grant?
$7,000.
Well, I see your notes say one date and the motion says another. You're suggesting they go to only to July 31st?
That was what I thought originally.
And you changed it?
But after talking with Justin this afternoon, we decided, well, we'll just make them all 10/31 so that we don't have to come back and...
It's ironic, they've had this for a year and we're replacing a door. I mean, we're not replacing, I don't know what, it's a door.
I'll make the motion through the chair that an extension be granted to the CDBG Bristol Historical Society ADA door project to a final date of October 31st, 2017.
You have a second?
Second.
And the amendment with that is a final date.
Correct.
So it's not a movable date anymore for that. Not done by that day, the grant gets pulled.
Through the chair, who's our contact there? Tom Laporte or
Mike Saman.
Mike?
Mhm.
First, do we have a second to Charlie's motion?
Have we had
I think we have, did we? We have a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay.
So Mike Saman is the one who we want to talk to? So any of us know these guys and give them a little nudge? Is that permittable or?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. But it clearly has to be stated, it's not done.
We'll do it right now.
The money will be reprogrammed.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That's it, Debbie?
Yes.
Anything else you want to talk about, or you want to do that under new business by staff?
Old business.
I mean,
By
old
staff.
business. Okay. Let's go to new business by commissioner, starting my far left.
No.
None.
None.
Chair has none.
None.
Thank you. Old business by staff. Program updates. Debbie?
The biggest news is that our allocation is $30,000 less than it was last year. And so I had to go in and use those contingencies and make the changes. You see the final use of funds actual, and I left in the proposed estimated, so you can see the differences. And I will be bringing this to City Council on July 11th for approval, and then the annual plan will actually be submitted. And I'm working on the annual plan, all the details and minutia that go into the annual plan.
Are you going to remove the contingency action plan then from this? Because we're not going to follow that now. Because you have the actual figures.
Yes.
So I would suggest that that be stricken from here as positive. We have put that on purposely so we wouldn't have to go back. Do we still have to go back to the city council now?
Well, I never went to the City
Oh,
Council.
never went, but we approved it already with these
Yes, we did.
contingency, right? So another thing we're going to approve today is to refer to the city council. We're not going to we're not going to finally approve the budget again, are we? Or do you want to approve this revised budget?
Why not? Yeah,
Fine. But
let's,
just keep in mind whoever makes the motion that we're deleting the contingency action approved. Would you read the motion, please?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I have a sticker for detail.
God bless you. I'm in your job.
Okay, what's next? Where are we here? Is that it, Debbie?
yes.
Justin, you're up.
Yes, sir. So we have our update this month. I included the general update in the meeting packet. So I always go through and sort of look and try to figure out on Monday evenings, what did I forget, what's popped up since you all received this. So a couple things. First, shout out to David. David's in the back there, but great article in Saturday morning, or Saturday's paper. I don't know if you all were able to see that. We didn't have enough time. Obviously, we would have included it with your packet this month, but it just came out on Saturday. But what a great article about, I think, CDB in general, obviously David, and our housing rehab program. So we're going to pump out the positive CDBG stories, right? So that's our plan for, honestly, it's our plan for moving forward. But we want to make the community, remind our policymakers, everyone, about the good stuff that CDBG does in this community, and not just this year, not just next year, but for many, many years this has been going on. And Dave did great, and obviously David's workload has increased a little bit today. We've gotten some traction on that story, so I just really like that story.
I got a question. Do we post that to Bristol All Heart and onto the BDA site?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get with Mark and we'll do that if we haven't done it already, but...
It was done at 2:35. The press release on David went out last Thursday night, and it's on the site.
Yeah, so we'll keep that going.
Thank you.
Actually, different piece of news. I want to let you all know that, unfortunately, we found out Friday afternoon that we Dawn worked really hard on a grant to the Economic Development Administration, the USEDA, for funding that would help with our initial roadway and streetscape for Center Square. We did not get that. So EDA was complimentary of what we submitted. There's some things with the project that didn't necessarily fall within EDA's preference for types of projects. So you should know, we can tell you the good news when we get the good news on grants and other things, but you guys and everybody deserves to know about sort of the not so great news. So we did receive that grant fund, but the idea is we're not going to stop there. We have some other plans in the works to pursue potentially another source of grant funding for that project. And
How much was the grant for? What did we apply for?
2.2.
Was it? Oh, that's
Just two even.
a lot of money.
So, yeah, and that's a very competitive, obviously, program. Everyone from around the country applies for it. It's sort of on the tip of everyone's tongue when it comes time to apply for sort of heavy infrastructure projects. So, very competitive. Senator Murphy's office, I just got to say it again, I mean, I'm just blown away with the support that those folks, a gentleman named Evan has given us. But honestly, we had support from all of our policymakers, federal, state, obviously everyone here, the board, but just didn't work out this time. But we're not going to stop there. We're going to pursue other sources of funding. So just want to let you know about that. Real quick, I'm almost done. Also, I want to talk about the farmers market real quick. Give Ani a shout out. The farmers market's a project that sort of we inherited, I guess, through the marketing changeover from the chamber over to the city. I knew Ani would be perfect for it, and she's taken it and run with it. Had a successful first day. I mean, how'd that go, Ani? You were there Saturday morning, so.
Yeah, there was a lineup right when it started, so everyone was very happy with the turnout, and we're going to be adding a few more vendors as well as weeks go on.
It's good to have it back downtown. It's highly visible, and you can get in and out,
Yep.
not like Route 6.
Yeah. Just again, kudos to Ani. That's one of Ani's strong points is the event stuff, and just great job. And it's only going to grow, and the community is really sort of like rallying around it. So I think it's a good story for the BDA. Also, just a quick note, just so everyone probably has driven by and seen the signs, but the O'Connell School and Bingham School projects, remember? So those have gotten started. The developer has gone in, begun abatement work, right, to remove some of the hazardous building materials within the two properties. So obviously activity is going to ramp up from here on that project. We're going to be back to the BDA with that for their the developer's enterprise zone application. This board oversees that program, so we'll be back maybe next month before work really starts to get that application in front of you folks. But just want to give you a heads up and an update on that one.
The Bingham one, is that one up there in the enterprise zone on the right-hand side of the road? I thought we just went to the left side.
It's right on the edge. Both properties really are sort of right on the edge.
Or are they on it?
It's in it, yeah. And in the enterprise zone, if a property, Chris is the guru on this, if a property is on one side of the road, automatically the property is on the other side of the road. If it's on the edge of the zone, they're included.
Okay.
So, yeah. And we marketed that, right?
Well, I remember when we created the enterprise zone, so I wanted to make that.
Yeah.
I didn't think that side was on the enterprise zone. I thought it stopped out
It's
north.
basically the limit, yeah.
Okay, see, I still can remember that. Anything else, Justin? Take your time.
Like you said.
I think that we're good for now. Oh, no, but we'll do that under the neighborhood preservation update. Thank you for that, but that's it for now.
Motion be ordered to accept the report of the executive director.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Old business by commissioner, starting on my right.
None.
None.
Chair has none. None.
None. No.
Committee reports. Marketing committee. Perhaps Justin can...
I'm going to
report.
try, and maybe Mark can help me out, because I actually had to leave early
Because
myself.
I was not there, but
Yeah.
just be warned, I will be here on Friday the 7th.
We'll have your coffee ready.
I'm coming back for that meeting. so
Okay,
I will be here.
good. We'll have your coffee. Mark, maybe you could give them an update on what you passed out today, because that took up a lot of the last meeting.
Yeah, it's for 6 months, so if you should have all gotten a handout. As you know, most of the concentration we've done this year is really to clean up all hard, build the social media as we do some of the other things. So I thought it was time that I don't think the board, I know the marketing committee sees it every month, but the board hadn't seen any of the figures. So when you look at this, the first one is about the All Hard website, and the numbers there, total visits, total page views, unique visitors. Again, unique visitors is somebody that went to the site that had never been there before. Return visitors, average time on site, average page visits per session, and then the bounce rate. That 2016 is for the entire 12 months. If you look at the 2017, that is just 6 months. So in 6 months, we're already up 9% on visits, 2.5% on pages views, 42%, probably the most important one with unique visitors. We didn't lose too many of the return visitors. We've gone up actually. Average time of the site is down, and that's good because they haven't been searching for information. Average page visits are now back up, and the bounce rate has gone down monthly. It doesn't reflect here yet, and that has to do with the search engine optimization. those are the 55, 56 changes that we've made in the first 6 months.
Can you just explain, because again, some of them aren't involved with the marketing committee, like SEO and bounce rate, think those two items?
Bounce rate would be something like you click on something that you thought it was something, and you get there and you go, oh, that isn't what I wanted. Now, Bristol has a huge problem with that because there's a Bristol, England, there's a Bristol, Tennessee, there's a Bristol, Virginia, but it was way high. It's 71, 72%. If we were selling a product, we would want to be around 35%. I don't think that's actually possible for us. We're shooting for 40%, but now we've gotten it down to about 50%, so we're just going to keep shooting for that. The search engine optimization is if you put in a Google search or you use Bing, whichever one you use, you put in things to do in Bristol or just Bristol, Connecticut. We were way out of the ballpark back in January, and we're still not where we need to be. We're still on the second or third pages, but we were in 5 and 6 coming back. It's a combination of a lot of things. It has to do with updated content, headers on the page, content on the page, the way we word things, and now we're on the back end going through page by page by page and putting those in, which is time consuming, and we've had some help with that. We want to do 3 more months, which we'll talk about the marketing committee on the 7th. But I'm real happy with the figures. I put on here, which is interesting, that the social media is flat but still growing, but if you turn that over, for the year, we're up 15, 16%. We had a long way and a big jumps in January, February, and March. Now we're down to only about 10% a month. Now, most people would kill for that, but I still think all the things that we're doing and all the content that we have and the size that we can do better, so that's why it's flat. But you can see where we're doing the concentrations. Now it's just starting to fine-tune all the 3 Facebook, well, it's 4 Facebook pages now with the farmers market. But then now doing, because it's better weather, doing more with Instagram because that's photography oriented. LinkedIn still has a long way to go because we just started the account in March. So we're priming this, but I mean, we still got a lot to do on that.
Well, we're going in the right direction.
I hope so.
Any questions, Mark?
With that,
Go ahead, David.
Through the chair. Mark, 2 things. One is, what are the objectives for the committee for the next 3 months? What can we expect to see?
We're really just doing the plan, Dave. This board, thank you, unanimously approved the plan, so we're doing a lot of different things. We accomplished a lot, but starting with July 1st, the SEO has to be up there because when businesses are looking for us, they need to be able to find us. The other thing is All Heart is really a current business owner and a residence site, so we want to make sure the current businesses are coming up there as well. We have some things I want to do, which Justin has seen, which we're going to show at the marketing committee, so I'll give you a sneak preview. We've got a great resource in these tax mailings that we do. So we're going to put a little insert in there talking about the All Heart site, it's changed, download the app, that type of thing. So we're going to continue to promote this.
It's for free, really.
It is, well, it is. It basically is. We can print it and stick it in there like that. So if you had to put it in a nutshell, which you really can't because there's a lot of different initiatives, it's really to continue to get more traffic, to build up the site, increase the social media, and then support the events. We've got a lot of events that are going on in town for all summer. The other thing is we're supporting a lot of the nonprofits. For instance, a lot of these web numbers are due to 3 Facebook contests that we've done. So the New England Carousel Museum, we just completed one that had a lot of entrants for the Bristol Blues. We just started one for wrestling, and then in August we're either going to do Lake Compounds or we're going to do the American Clock and Watch Museum. The beauty of this is it reminds everybody what these great treasures are. They'll go to them, they'll see them, but it also increases what we're doing. And that was the idea. So increased traffic. I'm trying to think of all the tactics that we have, but we're getting there.
But also, Mark, don't forget that Mark came on in January. Mark and Ani came out at the same time. Mark's been playing with sort of like a half budget, right? Starting July 1st, now we have our full sort of marketing budget to start to plan with. So Mark and I have been talking about sort of bigger picture, maybe bigger splash type projects, videos and other things, so it's been fun. actually to sit with Mark, pick his brain, and talk about, okay, now we have your, your full year's budget. Let's talk about some other things that we can do too.
Well, and, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, the Board of Finance gave us a little bit more money.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Well, that segues really into the second question, right, Ken, Mark, is there is a lot of stuff going on, right? How difficult has it been to coordinate all the various nonprofits and other entities and agencies? Are they cooperating with you for the website?
Oh.
Getting stuff? Are we?
Absolutely. No, they have, every time I've called to get you were talking about, I always thought his name was Salmon. I guess it's Salmon over at the
Salmon,
Historical
yeah.
Society. He took me for 2 hours. I actually now sit in on the, I'm not sure exactly what they call, but it's the Bristol Museum Administrators. Collaboratives, and so they invited me, so I'm there once a month with them. We actually helped promote them on June 10th, which was the open house day for Connecticut, and they did a bang-up job. They really did. Every time I call somebody, they have no problem. The blues, I've had no resistance. That people, I mean, that's why it's the All Heart City, in my opinion, is because they get that they don't have to pay for it, directly anyway, and that we're there to help. And I actually think because of this kind of thing, they've seen some movement, so they're even more, reciprocal in doing it. I mean, I see I'm an All Heart supporter in a lot of the businesses around here, the decals that we send out, and that's pretty simple, but it can be powerful. But I guess the short answer, Dave, is I haven't met anybody that didn't want to help us out and help them out, which is nice because it's not always that way. Thank you.
I have to give a plug for Chris as well. So Chris is the on-the-ground sort of customer service-oriented person that, Chris is working with folks every day, helping them get events up onto the site, sort of that friendly voice that folks sometimes need to get their message across on the All Heart site and some of the social media stuff. She and Mark work together a lot in a great way, so it's a good team effort.
Any other questions by commissioners? Motion to accept the marketing committee report in order?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Downtown committee?
Well, pretty short because we didn't end up meeting. We had to cancel that. We weren't going to have our quorum at the last minute. But just as a reminder and a preview for next month, what we've been doing is obviously following the progress of Malone and McBroom and Bristol Hospital and some other projects, but also talking in depth, I think, with the committee about incentives, Dave, and different possible incentives, and John, for downtown. What I provided, or what I will provide to the committee for its next meeting, is just a general sort of framework to go off of for potential incentive programs for downtown, whether it's a tax abatement program, grants. Sky's the limit. I mean, this is the time, I'm sure Dave could speak to this, this is the time where we can sit down, sort of analyze what makes the private sector tick, what are they going to look to see downtown for incentives, and we're going to get it right.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Justin, I got to apologize. We were supposed to meet last week. I just got stuck at work. But I have something to give you, and I was going to send it to the mayor before we distribute it. Justin was good enough to get around with some detail about this thing we're working on for an incentive. I've got something to add to it.
Yeah.
So I want to give it to you tonight, then we can plan another meeting.
And yeah, I'm still going to make you sit down with me so we can talk through it. You didn't get out of that. That's great.
Thank you.
Well, we should have a motion to accept the non-meeting report. So, do we have a second?
That's a non-report.
That's a non-report.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Neighborhood Preservation Committee? You have a report?
Yes, last Thursday we met to approve a grant for Biker's Edge of $25,000, which is a little bit less than half of the $56,000 that they quoted the job for. We needed to meet because at the end of the week the program closes out, and I think we're going to be giving the state back about a little bit less than $7,000.
I think it's about that number. Just as background, 2-3 years ago, I learned that there was some funding left in our old Urban Act grant that we got from the city years and years ago. And we had about $100,000 left, but the city had not use essentially. So we work with the state to request, we asked the state if we could use the remaining funds for facade improvement program for downtown and the West End. State's been great. State said absolutely go ahead, approved our guidelines. So we've been doing that for a number of years now. And essentially the state said, hey, let's close that out. You're about down to the end of the funding anyway. So the owners of the Bikers Edge facility are coming in as our last project, pretty substantial project. I think it's going to do a lot of good for the area.
They're removing the stucco facade on 3
It's
sides.
already gone.
Excuse
It's
me?
gone.
It's gone?
I went by there today.
Well, I went by there this morning and there was still some of it up.
Oh.
And they're going to be also replacing a couple windows where, needed. They're going to clean up the brick too. But I think this is something that we want to continue sometimes, in the near future. Figuring the downtown's going to be kicking off.
Yeah, I mean, obviously as Center Square gets going, it's something that we can discuss probably with the downtown committee and bring it to the board and see if we want to continue a facade program like that. Just because, again, we've had some nice projects out of that. So
It's interesting, things change and they never change. When I was a kid, I went there to pay because I was Bristol Press Carrier, and that brick was there. Now
Oh,
we
yeah.
back, that original brick that was
Yeah.
covered over is back now. It's really, when they get that done, that's going to look sharp.
It is.
That's a good move.
Really nice.
You have the authority on committee to approve this, or do we have to ratify your action on the board? 25,000.
gosh, where are we? I think that we've done it independently with the committee. That we
yeah.
set up our own sort of,
All right.
yeah.
All you have to do is report. What if we didn't like what you reported? Well, never mind.
You know where I
Motion to
live.
accept- A motion to accept the report be in order.
So moved.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
If I can just ask the chair, was that the brick that came over on the Noah's Ark?
Yes. I helped Noah guide him. I was not one of the animals, though. Some people think I am. Motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thanks, folks.